Hey everybody, it's Glenn Ackerman, Energy Awareness Training, coming to you on a beautiful day. Great day for a class. This is my normal weekly class that I do on various aspects of energy awareness, and fascinating and interesting topics that have to do with learning and understanding and applying the wonderful world of energy awareness training that I teach. So today, we're going to be talking about energy awareness and a breaking news story, one of the biggest stories that took place this week, the Katie Hill congressional sex scandal that's been in the news here, at least out here in California, if not the whole country, probably the whole country, because it was an important political story. So we're going to get started here momentarily. And you wonder, well, what does sex scandals have to do with energy awareness? Well, everything has everything to do with it, because when you look at and examine the factors that took place from the scandal, you can see this all traced to the energy principles that I teach, at least the violation of the energy principles that I teach. So it really makes a fascinating study of how human behavior works, about how psychology works, about things that we were never taught in school, things that we were never taught on how to gauge. Because it isn't in this world where every day we wake up and we go about trying to have a good life and trying to do things that are good for us, and that will put us ahead, and try to avoid stepping in any kind of booby traps or any kind of landmine, so to speak, emotional landmines or spiritual landmines or whatever. That's what we do. So many of us have made mistakes and thinking, this is the line, the super line that says, if I only knew then what I knew now, I never would have done that. Well, the real payoff is knowing what you're about to do, or knowing the ramifications and the potential outcomes and potential dangers of what you're about to do before you do it, not after. And this is the value of my work. This is the value of energy awareness training. And so we're going to examine that today with the Katie Hill scandal. And you're going to learn some fascinating things. So hope you pop a cold one and get ready to learn and interact with me also. Okay, so some of you, my work is new to you, or maybe you haven't seen my videos before. So let me just introduce myself and give you a little bit of a foundation of what we're going to be basing today's class on, which is energy awareness training. What's that? Energy awareness training. What's that? Well, it's a new methodology. It's a revolutionary technology, actually, I will say, that identifies and that observes human behavior and human development in terms of energy. And it's based on a quote by Nikola Tesla that you may have heard, that said, if you really want to understand the mysteries and the secrets of life, then you'll start to look at things in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Okay, you may have heard that, you may not have. Albert Einstein, in the famous quote when we were in school, said, everything is energy. Well, I've taken those two principles and been able to identify what those frequencies are, what those vibrations are, and how they work, how they can help us and help protect us against calamity, but also give us great insight on the human experience and the missing link, so to speak, that we were never taught in schools about how people work. And as you'll see as we go into the class here, you'll see some principles that you probably never heard of if you've never studied energy awareness training before. Got something in my eye here. So the foundation of today's class are based upon the principles that we live in an energetic world, and that everything that we do is an energy exchange, that everything we're dealing with in this world is energy, whether it's you, me, the air, activities, jobs, money, etc. It's all below all of those things. There's an energetic component, And those energetic components, as Tesla says, has a vibration and a frequency to it. But I've identified the energetic components of things as having a purpose, a power, a direction, a frequency, and that gives off information. And this is cutting edge, leading information and technology, and to be able to understand our world and people from a deeper, wider perspective, certainly more than we've been taught or than we've been used to in our education. And this is so important because energy is in everything that we do, in our relationships, in our money, in our careers, in our health, in practically every activity that we do. There are energetic components to it. And if you're aware of what those components are, you have a decided advantage over those who don't. And this is kind of like the missing link, so to speak, to be able to perceive things. And isn't everything that we do a decision? Don't we make decisions every day on what's good for us or what's not good for us, or what we should do or what we shouldn't do, what we should partake in and what we should avoid? Sure. And what do we base that information on? Usually intellect or logic or past experiences. But in energy awareness training, I teach that there are living components of everything. Relationships, for example. Whether it's a romance or a friendship or a business partnership, we all want to go into that knowing that this is going to be good for us, right? That this is going to be a positive experience, not something that's going to be a negative experience or something that we're going to regret. So we have normal faculties that we try to ascertain, okay, is this a good idea or is it not a good idea? And a lot of times we're wrong. Why we're wrong is because there are hidden factors that we didn't see at the time that are taking place. And it's only after we get involved and after the thing doesn't work out and after we go through some kind of pain, whether it's emotional or financial or regret, that we say, oh, if only I had known then what I know now, I never would have done that. Well, wouldn't it make more sense to be able to know what's potentially going to happen or what direction that relationship or that business partnership is or that activity is, where it's going, before you do it, before you get involved? Of course it would. And can you imagine the amount of anguish that we would save ourselves, the amount of money and the amount of time that we would save ourselves if we could be able to read a situation and know where the potential of that was going? See, normally, as I mentioned, we make decisions based upon our intellect or based upon past experiences, and we've neglected this powerful opportunity, which is to recognize the energies around something. And while people will lie to you and people will mislead or misrepresent things that they do, things that they are, etc., energy never lies. Energy always tells you exactly where something is headed. And that's something that you can count on. And when you look at things energetically, as opposed to either listening to what somebody says or quote logic, you've got a decided advantage over those who don't. And I'm going to illustrate that today in our class. So one last thing before we get into the material, I identify these energies, these hidden energies that are inside us, and they're influencing us constantly, and we're not even aware of it. That's why people have struggled, and why it's so hard to change, because we're trying to change things in a logical world, and we don't recognize that logic is about 10 to 20% of what we see, and the energy is about 70 to 80% of what's going on there. So I use the terms three-dimensional world, which is the world our normal world that we were brought up to operate in. And that's, things that we can see and can smell and taste, and the logic that we have to try to figure things out. Well, trying to figure things out works if you're in a linear world. And in the linear world, we're brought up to, go to school, get an education, make money, get married, do the normal logical things that everybody does. And that's part of our linear world. But that's only about 50% of our life. The other 50% is the nonlinear world, which is, falling in love or dealing with emotions or understanding and processing grief or loss or the experiences that we have in life that we weren't prepared for. Those aren't linear, those are nonlinear activities, and you have to use a nonlinear system if you're going to be able to deal with those things. And so much of life, the most important things in life are nonlinear. You think about it, falling in love, having relationships, getting married, having kids, being able to deal with human beings on an emotional or a heart-based level. That's a nonlinear process. And that's where energy awareness comes in, because when things are going great in our lives, we don't need any kind of awareness, right? We just enjoy the ride. But where our lives get challenged and where people go upside down and have real struggle and adversity is when things don't go good, is when things are going against the way we want them to. We're here, and all of a sudden we end up over here. How'd that happen, right? And things don't work out the way we think they're going to work out, or someone says they're going to do one thing and then they do the other, or et cetera, in that direction. So this is energy awareness training is kind of the missing link to be able to identify, well, how does that nonlinear stuff work? How do we deal with the nonlinear stuff like emotions or trust or faith or endurance or perseverance or challenge? There's no linear way to deal with challenge. People can say, well, just think positive and, keep a stiff upper lip. Great. Does that really help you when you're going through some really heavy, challenging emotional states? No, they don't. So I'm here to present tools and information and a path of understanding, which is what energy awareness training is, to be able to deal with that and to be able to have all the tools you could use. In our normal logical way of dealing with the world, we see in the what I call the three-dimensional world, but science says there's 10, maybe 12 or more dimensions. And if that's the case, that means that we're only able to perceive, 10 to 30% roughly of what's going on. But when you're able to perceive more, when you're able to perceive 40, 50, 60% or more, you have more information and you have more perception of what's happening. You can make better decisions and you can expand your life and protect yourself from what's taking place. So in energy awareness training, we identify two energies that basically are running this world. And I call one of them, just like Tesla did, the high vibrational energy, the energies of light, of goodness, of happiness, of joy, of abundance, of blessings, all the things that we want: forward movement, progress, creativity, love, connection, all that good stuff. And then there's another energy that opposes that, which is called the low vibration energy. It's under the law, energetic law I teach of polarity, which is if there's a high, there's got to be a low. If there's an up, there's a down. If there's a left, there's a right. If there's a good, there's a bad. If there's a male, there's a female, etc. So the low vibration energy is just the opposite of the high. The low vibration energy is stuff like anxiety, worry, stress, doubt, fear, lack, sickness, neediness, desperateness, anger, all the stuff that we don't want, we want to stay away from. And yet so much of our lives are spent in dealing with that low vibration energy. And dealing with those things, again, is a nonlinear process. It's not linear. Linear is figuring out, what you need for groceries and making a list and going to the store and taking that. That's a linear process. Dealing with difficult people or troubled relationships, kids, marriage, etc. That's a nonlinear way of doing it, because there's so many factors taking place. And in energy awareness training, we identify those factors as energies. And again, energies, when you're able to recognize them, and that's what I teach in energy awareness training, they have a power. All energies have a power. A purpose means they're going in a direction. They have a certain frequency or vibration, and they give off information. And that's important when you're trying to make a decision about a relationship or an investment or a place to live, etc. So most of our lives are spent trying to make decisions. And If you're energetically aware, you'll make some good ones. Okay, we got a lot of people joining us. I want to say hello to everyone. Hey, Marie. Marie's with us, my old friend. Christopher, Michael. All right, Michael's with us. Nikolai, Bernhild. Hey, coming from Portland. Great. Appreciate you reaching out and saying hi. If you guys would just drop me a note here on the chat, just say hi and tell me where you're from, or just give me a shout out. I'd appreciate that. That helps me get the broadcast circulated to more people, and lets me know that you're there. Okay, let's get started with today's lesson course. The Katie Hill Congressional Sex Scandal. Boy, that's a great headline for the tabloids, isn't it? The Congressional Sex Scandal. Wow. So if you're news savvy and you've been reading the papers or listening to the news, you can see that this young lady, Katie Hill, was elected to Congress in the last election, and actually she's from the district that's about 10 miles from here in Southern California, during the political sweep when all the Democrats took over the Congress. And again, this is non-political. No, not going to discuss politics here. Just going to discuss facts. So whatever range of the political spectrum you're in, we're just discussing facts here as it pertains to energy awareness training. Okay, so young gal, married, decides to run for Congress, as is her right, and puts a great campaign, attracts a lot of attention. She was featured on Vice News for a whole week about her campaign and the grassroots, the people who believed in her, and she attracted a lot of young women, kind of a feminist voice. And she unseated a Republican named Stephen Knight, who was an incumbent for a while, and then she went to Washington and started rising fast in the ranks of Congress, and became part of the leadership, the junior leadership to Nancy Pelosi. So she's making a name for herself and becoming very prominent. So during that, what took place with her, what came out in the news is that she had a inappropriate relationship. And again, this is the papers talking. I'm just reporting what's in the news. She had an inappropriate relationship with one of her staff, and that her and her husband were involved in some kind of three-way relationship with some other girl, etc. And she came out and said that she was bisexual in her campaign. I didn't really hear that, but that's what she said. Married, so whatever. But what happened was that these allegations came out, and first, she denied them as a smear campaign, and then somehow the London Times in England got a hold of some photos of her, some I don't know how to put it, naked, inappropriate photos of her doing her thing with someone else, or I think she was in a bong or something. I mean, it was published in the London papers, and this really brought this thing into scandal. And apparently she was in the midst of a divorce from her husband, who she claimed did revenge porn for her, and it just got to be a mess. Got more and more stuff taking place, and finally she resigned. And she resigned last week and said that what was happening to her was unjust, and that her personal life shouldn't be involved in her professional life. And she blamed the husband and the opposing party for what happened to her, etc. So it's unfortunate when anybody gets caught up in scandal and loses a job and gets disappointed, especially in the political arena. So why I mention this as a topic for today's class is because in energetic awareness, in energy awareness, one of the things that I teach is to be aware of the possible energies, the energies that are affecting us. I'm going to close this screen door here because some trucks going by. And so hold on one second. Close this door too. Sounds like somebody with a chainsaw cutting the trees next door or something. Sorry about that. At any rate, so what energy awareness training is it's about identifying these hidden energies that affect us and that we're not aware of, but that work either for us or they work against us. And this is a prime example of energies that no doubt she was unaware of at the time, but she's very aware of them now, what happened. And I want to just go over how that works so we can learn, because I think this is really fascinating. When you see people in the news and you see how things work, I'm sure she's saying, how'd this happen to me? Why me? A month ago, everything was great and my career was going fantastic and all was well. And then what happened? The whole world, her whole world blew up. And when that happens to us, we say, well, how'd that happen? Whether relationships break up or you lose a job, God forbid, or health or something, and you go, man, things were so great just a little while ago. What happened? Why me? What was? Well, in energy awareness training, one of the things that we teach is that you create, by and large, your life, the quality of your life. You create the circumstances and of the things that happen to you, and that I have a saying that says, life doesn't come to you, it comes from you. So all that means is that whatever's going on inside, whatever you're dealing with internally, energetic wise, you're going to create externally too. You've ever heard the phrase, as above, so below? It's a metaphysical phrase. Well, energetically, we say, as internal, so is external. So let's cover a couple of the things that she loved, the lessons that we can learn. So remember, one of the energetic laws that I teach is that the law of polarity, which is the law of duality, again, which I mentioned, if there's light, there's darkness, good, bad, right, wrong, tide goes in, tide goes out, there's a male, there's a female, etc. So we're always dealing, with opposites or the potential to have an opposite. So whatever our situation is, it's daytime now, soon it'll be nighttime. When it's nighttime, soon it'll be daytime. Today's a rest day, the weekend, tomorrow will be a work day. So energy is always moving. It never stays static. And one of the important things that you should know if you want to be energetic wise is that things don't stay the same. It looks like they do sometimes, but there's always things in motion. There's always things taking place, but most of it is in the unseen world. Most of it is in the energetic world. And another one of the energetic principles I teach is that which is seen comes from the unseen. Okay, that which is physical comes from non-physical. So as we're going to illustrate today, what happened to her and what happens to us happens in the non-physical world. Sometimes it's created, in the mental world, in the emotional world, and things that we can't see. But the things that we can't see control and create the things that we do see. You might have heard my analogy of that I use to describe energy, called the iceberg metaphor, which is, what's the iceberg? 10% we can see above the water, 90% below the water we can't see. And the Titanic wasn't sunk by, what it could see. It was sunk by what it couldn't see. So I use the same phrase with human beings. That which we can see, we can control. That which we can't see or are not aware of controls us. And you'll see how this is illustrated in this example. So first off, you have to get that whenever you're going to rise in, become visible or take a stand on anything, a visible stand, whatever your principle is, there's going to be, there's the law of duality, which is somebody's going to oppose you. Somebody's going to object. And that's why a lot of people, don't like putting themselves out there, or don't like, rising above the norm, because they're definitely afraid of criticism or judgment, or somebody could oppose them. And it doesn't matter what. If you're for saving the environment, there's somebody who's not for saving the environment. If you're for world peace, there's somebody who's not for world peace, right? If you're for lower taxes, there's somebody who's for raising taxes. Doesn't matter what it is. So once you get that gives you an awareness. See, that's one of the powers of my work, is to be aware. That's why I call it energy awareness training. I could have called it energy frequency training. I could have called it energy mastery, energy, whatever. I call it energy awareness, because it's the awareness of these energies. They're already around us. Somebody says, well, I don't know if I want to be energetically aware. I don't know if I want to learn energy awareness training. Oh, well, you know what? You're already dealing with energy in everything that you're doing. So whatever's happening, you're dealing with energy. You're just either aware of it or you're not aware of it. But it's happening. And if you're not aware of it, it's going to bite you. I'm here to tell you, as it's bitten all of us when we went, if only I had known then what I know now. What is that? It's perception. It's energy. And I'm here to hopefully open up your perceptions and your dimensions. I didn't mention, as I usually do at the beginning of the broadcast, I'm coming from the jungles of West Hollywood, California here. I'm clearing the jungle here. And I did go, for those of you who usually ask me, I did go to get the flowers. Oh, I take great pride in showing my weekly flowers. So I digress for a minute and showing you these beautiful flowers I got this morning that I love to hand out to people. And I love to keep the house beautiful here. Oh, smell fantastic. High vibrational energy. All right, that's my little commercial for the day. Let's get back to what we're talking about. So whatever you're doing, there's somebody who's opposites. If you're one religion, there's somebody who's another religion. If you're an atheist, there's somebody who's anti-atheism. If you're a Democrat, there's a Republican, right? I already mentioned that, if you're for climate change, there are other people who deny climate change, right? It's all over. So that's one of the things that you have to be aware of when you're putting yourself out there. Like I said to me, people say, a lot of people go, Glenn, energy awareness, this is fascinating. I personally think that this is the most fascinating information and technology I've ever seen. And I love teaching it because it affects everything. Other people go, energy, let's go watch football. Okay, great. So to the degree that you're aware in life is the degree that you have a handle and you're able to steer and avoid the booby traps in life and stay with all the good stuff. So the first thing that we learned from the Katie Hill thing is that when she ran for Congress, she beat the incumbent congressman of the opposite party. Almost immediately, that created a kickback. It created she beat me for the congressional seat. Let's see how we can take her down. Let's see how we can oppose her. And isn't that true pretty much with any politician? No matter what party you are, there's the opposite party going to try to take you down. And as long as you're aware of it, and as long as you're aware of it, but as long as you recognize, okay, there are opposing forces that are trying to take me down. So I want to make sure that I don't give those opposing forces any ammunition to take me down, right? So it's like, be careful, be aware, be forewarned that there are forces that are trying to take you down, and be careful of your thoughts, be careful of your emotions, be careful of your behaviors, etc. And if you're not aware of that, that's when you can walk into the trap. So there were forces, and by the way, this is an analysis for our own energy, because we all, inside every human being, there are forces that want to lift us up, that want us to have a great life, that want us to be happy and fulfilled, and there are other forces that want to prevent that. that want to take us down, that want to sabotage. And energy awareness training is about recognizing which energy is which and nullifying and releasing and eliminating the low vibration energy, the bad stuff that wants to take us down, and expanding and growing the high vibration energy that wants to take us up. Make sense? If I'm making sense here, give me a shout out on the chat to let me know that you're digging what I'm saying, or that it's resonating. Really want your feedback. This is interactive, by the way, so any questions that you have or any comments about anything I'm talking about, I'd love to address them. Those are beautiful flowers, aren't they? Hey, Vivek. Hey, Dean. Glad you're here. Gary's with me. Linda. All right. Welcome, you guys. So we're talking about the Katie Hill congressional scandal that's been in the news the past couple of weeks, and the energetic lessons that we can learn from them. So the first one is to recognize that when you take a stand for something, there are going to be people that are going to oppose you. And just like inside of us internally, we have energies that want to take us up and energies that want to take us down. Now, thank God that the energies that want to lift us up are much stronger than the energies that want to take us down. But the only way that the energies that want to take us down can work is if either we're not aware or we don't use it. So, example is you can have the best burglar alarm in the world to protect you against thieves. But if you don't turn on the burglar alarm when you go away, it doesn't do much. Or if you don't even know you have a burglar alarm, it's not going to do much to help you. And it's the same way with this energy. Okay, so the next thing that we observe in this is that there was inappropriate sex energy taking place. And I do a lot of teaching on sex energy, because sex energy is the most powerful force in this world for human beings. It's the drive that keeps the species going, and it's such a powerful force that it can and always does, if it's done inappropriately, come back to smack you. Comes back to blow things up. You see so many sex scandals, inappropriate sex scandals, and this is one of them. In that, the sex energy is such a powerful force that it can negate your logic. It can negate your thinking. I'm sure you've known people who've been involved in affairs or in relationships, and you go, wow, they're abused or they're not happy, and what keeps them staying in that relationship? It's usually that strong sexual connection between the two. And I know, for guys, a lot of guys will put up with a lot of stuff, just to, be able to have, a regular outlet of sex, but that's a whole nother class. But understand this energy is strong, and I mean, it's powerful. And what happens is that if you're not aware of if you're not energetically aware of this, then it can and will take you down. So you look at people like the owner of the New England Patriots. Okay, here's a guy I think he's almost a billionaire, and he's very wealthy, very prominent. Gets caught in a massage parlor, trying to get a $40 thrill, whatever that was. And as a result, 40 million people know that he was in that massage parlor trying to do that. Was it worth it? If he had known then what he knew now, would he have ever gone in that massage parlor? Heck no, but he didn't, because he wasn't aware. So in this particular instance, there were again, this is all what I've read in the news, read and heard in the news. So I'm just reporting it to make the example. There were pictures of her cavorting in the nude with her staff members while she was smoking a bong, and probably not the best time to take a picture. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, if you're no clothes on and you're smoking a bong and you're tramping around, probably not a good time to let people take pictures of you. So why did that happen? Well, maybe she was too loaded to be able to care if somebody was taking pictures of her, or maybe she didn't care, or maybe in the mood she didn't mind, or whatever it was. But the fact is that took place. And now she says, how could I have let that happen? How could I have let somebody take pictures of me, you know, in these things? And right? So obviously at that time, she wasn't energetically aware. And again, when you add drugs to the situation, when people are intoxicated, that's when people really make mistakes. I do a lot of work with people who are recovering addicts in alcohol or drugs or even sex or food. I mean, you name it. There's no shortage of what you can be addicted to, but it's not really about the addiction. It's what the addiction is covering up, which is usually some form of pain, some kind of loss, or some kind of unhappiness. So in this particular case, she was able to hold this thing off until the pictures got published in an English paper. You know, why an English paper? I don't know, but they're the ones who got the pictures. And then once that came, it was just an avalanche of bad press, and that was ammunition for her enemies to go on a warpath. And probably her enemies, as is coming out now, had something to do with that. Somebody somewhere sent her enemies, in this case, the Republican operatives, who she had defeated. You know, they were trying to get revenge. They were trying to, destroy her, basically. That's what they were trying to do, and that's what they did. So energetically aware means being, let me give you the example. Somebody says, well, gee, how do you become energetically aware? Well, first off, you recognize that everything is energy, and that energy has a frequency, a vibration, and it gives you information. So whatever you're doing is energetic activity. You recognize that whatever activity you are, there's an energy to it, and it's either, in this example, it's either high vibration or it's a low vibrational energy. And if it's a high vibrational energy, which it wasn't, but if it was, then it's going to create more high vibrational energy. But if it's a low vibration energy, then it's going to create more low vibration energy. And since if you're loaded and you're naked and you're having inappropriate relationships, that qualifies as low vibration energy. So what took place from it? More low vibration energy. And you can see how things escalate from the decision of have an inappropriate relationship. See, when you go to Congress, I think they sit you down and they tell you, look, this is what you can do. This is what you can't do. This is appropriate. This is inappropriate. And if you get caught with the inappropriate, you're going to suffer. You may lose your seat. You're going to be censured, etc. So they give you a warning when you go to Congress about that. She probably knew, but the sex energy clouds your thinking, clouds your ability to make rational decisions, especially if you're intoxicated. So as a result, there was inappropriateness there. To what degree, I don't know, but there was enough there where they were able to actually prove the existence of that relationship. Now, so we're learning about the power and the dangers of the sex energy when it's inappropriate. Now, don't make mistake. I'm not saying sex is inappropriate. I'm saying sex is a neutral energy. All of these energies are neutral, but it's a matter of what frequency are you in? Are you connecting to when you partake of whatever the particular energy is? So it's like alcohol, for example. People have a glass of wine. What's wrong with having a glass of wine? Nothing, unless you're using it to numb your emotions. And if you're using it to numb your emotions, then it becomes a dangerous drug. You see, food, what's wrong with food? Nothing. We all need it to survive. But if you're using it to medicate your emotions and, you're eating, 10 pies at a sitting, that's not good. That's low vibration energy. So I think you see the point I'm making, with fire. Fire is a neutral energy. It can be used to warm your house. It can be used on the stove to cook food, and it can be used, God forbid, to burn down a forest. God forbid, which is what we're experiencing here. Okay, so these are I hope, is this getting through here a little bit about being energetically aware? If I'm ringing your bell and making sense, let me know here on the chat here. Hey, Mark, glad you're here. Johnny Gallagher, hey. Gus, good to see you. Cool. All right, thank you. If you guys got any questions or anything you want me to clarify about this, please let me know. All right, I'm going to continue on. A couple more things as we're learning about energy awareness, and we're talking about the Katie Hill congressional sex scandal taking place. So apparently what I read in the news also is that she had a husband, and the husband was a house husband, and he didn't work. And he took care of the house, I guess, and helped her with all, I guess she was the breadwinner in the family. And she, according to him, according to what was written, she cut him off and said, you know, I'm out of this marriage. It's over. Goodbye. And according to him, she left them destitute, or left them without vehicles and without support, and had to go borrow money from his parents, etc. Okay. Well, first off, energetically speaking, some house husband deals work. Many of them don't. And I'm just speaking energetically wise. Why is that? Because in all relationships are specifically energetic. So when you lose the energy, the equality of the energy in a relationship, that's when it goes south. When the respect changes, when the emotions change, when the physicality, the sex changes, when the money changes, any of those things change, they have an upsetting or uprooting effect on a relationship. And again, as I mentioned, energy is always moving. So you have to be aware. There's nothing that you can do, just leave it. And, oh, I'm done. Okay, we're married, and I don't have to do any more work. I don't have to romance her, or I don't have to make an effort, and I can let myself go, and I can get lazy. That's the path for misery. Whatever you value, and remember, it's all energy. So whatever you value, you have to nourish. You have to be vigilant. You have to protect it against the forces that would take it down. And in everything that we have in this world, there are energies that'll lift it up, and there are energies that'll take it down. That's why it's so surprising sometimes when, especially in this example that I'm sharing with you, she said to the guy, hey, it's over, hit the bricks, Jack. And he's like, what? He didn't see it coming. Usually the women, know the end is coming about 6 months before the guy does. So by the time she gets around to telling him, she's already, done with it. And he hears about it for the first time. What? Well, is there anything we can do? He says, no, it's over. It's a done deal. So the guy, according to the news outlets, she left the guy high and dry and defend for himself. Well, when you throw somebody to the wolves, so to speak, and you leave somebody without options, they're going to strike back. It's like a cornered dog. That dog is gonna strike back because it's threatened. It's very survivalist threatened, and that really puts you in low vibration energy. When somebody's back is against the wall and they're stripped of their dignity, or they're stripped of their resources, they're going to react. And that's what energy does. Energy reacts. So apparently what happened was he had something to do with this, with the pictures and with the information. To what degree, I'm not sure of. But this is a lesson in energy is whatever you're going to do it, you have to do it in high vibrational energy. If you're going to break up with someone, you have to do it with the components of high vibrational energy, which is kindness, compassion, thinking about, how you can serve and care about other people too. If you just say, F you, get out of here, you're bad news, and they're, and they love you or they're dependent upon you, or in some cases, they're going to react. So for every action, there's a reaction. And you see that a lot of times, when people get fired from jobs, the old postal worker syndrome. The guy's in the post office, he thinks he's secure and he's going to have a job for the rest of his life. And then, he gets fired and he's got no way to make a living, and he's got no money. The low vibration energy just swoops in and just grabs you and said, how could they do this to you? You got to get revenge. You got to show them. You got to make them pay, right? So the guy goes and, does the postal shootout type thing. And again, this is all energy. It's all of these problems could be solved if you were just energetically aware. So maybe from the news accounts, if she had said, look, this relationship isn't something I want anymore, and let's break up, and here's some support here, or here's a way for you to be able to, get yourself going and have an amiable split, so that there's still good energy going on between them, as opposed to, you hit the bricks, Jack. And that was the reaction. That was a low vibration energy act that created what? More low vibration energy. So moving that, that's one of the things that I observed about that. And the whole thing about, you think, well, why did this happen? Why did this happen? It happens, and when calamity happens to us, God forbid, but when it has, it's because we were energetically unaware. If you've been through a breakup, for example, or a divorce, that was a long time coming. It didn't just start yesterday, or the day before. There were factors over time that took place. When somebody, God forbid, loses their health. I have a friend of mine who's going through some serious health challenges right now, and the guy has abused himself his whole life, and been able to get away with it for many years in a variety of areas. I won't go into it, but abused his body, and it got away with it for years. And now he's in middle age, and now the chickens are coming home to roost, and now he's going, oh my gosh, I'm dealing with this health issue and this health crisis and this thing. And he goes, if only I had known then what I know now, I never would have done that. But now, act in haste, repent in leisure. So this is what it means to be energetically aware, you guys. I have a definition. First of all, it's the definition of wisdom. And the definition of wisdom is the ability to see the results of your actions, or at least have an intuition about your actions before you do it. Before you do it. So if it's raining outside, and you go out without an umbrella, you probably know, you think, oh, maybe it's going to stop raining soon. Well, maybe it will, maybe it won't. But you should protect yourself, right, before you go outside if it's raining. And, if you're soaked to the brim an hour from now, that wasn't too wise. You didn't use wisdom. I mean, that's a clear example. Same thing with relationships. If you neglect your relationship, if you take it for granted, if more into me instead of we, over time, that's an energy direction. See, everything that we're doing has a direction to it, because it's all energy, and energy has two directions: up or down, good or bad, high vibration or low vibration energy. And that's true in every thought that we have, every emotion that we have, and every action that we take. And you may have heard me say there's always two things happening. There's the thing that's taken place, the action that we're doing, whatever thought we're thinking, whatever emotion we're thinking, whatever behavior we're thinking, and there's the energetic direction that it takes. So I mentioned if somebody is feeling pain, or feeling down about something, or in regret, or trying to recover from some kind of trauma, and they start drinking to feel better, or they start doing drugs to feel better, or start having an affair, or gambling, or whatever the vice is, knowing that energy is always expanding, you're going to have two problems. You're going to have your original problem, and you're going to have that the addiction that you use to cope with the problem. So now it's multiplied, and that's an example of of low vibration, creating more low vibration. That's why in my training, I teach you every day to create a high vibratory frequency before you leave the house, so that you're able to, every morning when we wake up, our energies are out of alignment. We're disjointed. You're kind of half awake. And one of the protocols in energy awareness training is to get into alignment, so that when you leave the house, you're in a high vibratory state in your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, so that you can take actions that will be high vibration energy. So you'll do what? Create more high vibration energy. And the more high vibration energy you have, the better life in all areas, because we're all living in an energetic world. So if you're not aware of that, then you just leave the house and you leave it to fate. If you choose not to be energetically aware, or you think it's a bunch of hooey, or you don't have time to cleanse your energy or do your energy work in the morning, then you go out, then you're like a leaf in the wind. Maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't. But what you're not aware of is that there are factors, just like with Katie Hill, her Republican opponent, that are devising ways to try to trip you up, to try to get you to move in a low vibration energy frequency, so it can spring its trap, so it can strike. And I don't think I'm being too dramatic on that. I think we've all had that experience. So I'm mentioning this example for her. And by the way, I wish her the best, and I hope this is a learning experience for her, and I hope her situation gets resolved. Many blessings to her. I'm just using this example as an illustration for class today, to be able to alert you that what happened to her is the potential that could happen to us, and that the same things that she fell victim to are the same things that we have to encounter every day. Every day we have to make decisions. Every day we need to be aware. Every day we need to recognize what energies are working for us or against us in people, places, things, jobs, activities, etc. Okay? All right, I'm going to open it up for any questions or any comments anybody has about what I've mentioned today about energetic awareness and the Katie Hill congressional scandal. I hope I've made this clear, and I'm going to do a quick wrap up as I just take a look on it and see anybody else coming on. Okay, question, Nicolaj. Can you then practically say that low vibration energy will come to you automatically every day and search for you? Yes, it does. Every time we have a negative thought, anytime we have a fear or a worry, that's a low vibration energy. You don't choose that. You don't choose to, okay, I'm going to think negative today. I'm going to worry myself. I'm going to scare the living crap out of myself today. You don't choose that. Where does it come from? Now, some people like to debate me. Especially, I had a great conversation with a guy. We were talking about neuroscience. I don't talk about neuroscience too much because there are other people who know a lot more about that than I do. But I know about the energies. So the neuroscientist says to me, he goes, well, it's basically the, our protection, it goes back to when we were, cavemen, and we have this, as part of our brain that's trying to protect us against wild animals and this, and it's just a part of the, the brain that from ancient times that kept us away from wild dinosaurs that wanted to eat us, God forbid. And I go, okay, well, if that's the case, then how do you explain the thoughts that come into people's mind that try to tempt them to commit suicide? And everybody has had thoughts like that, even if it's just like, is life worth living? I don't know, maybe do I want to put up with this anymore? Everybody's had a thought like that, at one time or another, and some of you say, well, of course it is. But a lot of people go, oh, I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And some people actually listen to those thoughts. Where do they come from? Is that your prehistoric brain trying to protect you? I don't think so. I think it's a lot deeper than that. I think it's exactly what I teach, that there are forces, that there are energies, that there are frequencies existing externally in the world and both internally as well, that have this effect on us. And the breakthrough in this work is the ability to recognize them and to be able to overcome them. I'm going to be interviewing a couple students of mine so you can hear of the tremendous results. You know, you've heard my story about how I was filled with anxiety and stress and fear, you know, my whole life. That I got it when I was a kid. I got in the household I grew up, you know, I got it from different experiences, and I tried to change that, and I couldn't. You know, how do I get rid of this terrorist in my head, this maniac who's always saying, you're no good, you're not worthy, it's never going to work out, why try, life sucks, just get it, just let's end it. Whoa. And when I found out that that wasn't me, that wasn't who I was at my true energetic core, it made all the difference in the world, because I stopped beating myself up. I start allowing foreign thoughts to put me down, to try to pull me into a place of sadness and sorrow. And when you learn to take back your energy, and that's the term I use, taking back your energy, so that you can lead yourself into a high vibratory, happy, joyous, free, abundant, regardless of what's happening in the external world. See, that's the power of energy awareness training. Your happiness is not dependent upon any external thing in this world. Listen to me, folks. Your happiness, your well-being, your ability to keep functioning isn't dependent upon anything externally out in this world. And in fact, if it is, you can almost guarantee suffering, because anything out in the physical world is under the law of duality, which means if it goes up, it can go down. If it goes in, it goes out. If they love you today, they can hate you tomorrow. I mean, look at the Katie Hill story. I mean, she was married to her husband for I don't know how many years. And I'm sure at one time they were in love and they cared about each other and they wanted to build a life together. And what happens? You know, according to her, you know, he turned on her and tried to destroy her. He went from being the most loving guy in the world to being her worst enemy. That's the way the energies work. You know, if you're not aware of them, it doesn't mean it's going to happen to everybody, because everybody's got unique and different circumstances. But this is how the energies work. And not to know this, as I didn't know it, and you probably didn't know it, you know, for most of our lives, you fall into the traps and you suffer and you get disappointed and you get heartbroken and you make mistakes, and, you know, and it takes its toll. And that's why, you know, in middle age, you know, people get to a point where they can talk about the midlife crisis, the midlife, you know, breakdown. What is that? It's simply, you get to a point, I don't know, when you're 40 or 50 or 60, whenever it happens, it's different with everyone. And you go, hey, this didn't work out the way I thought it was. I thought by the time I was, you know, 40 or 50 or 60 or whatever the number is, that I would be here, and I'm not here. What the hell? You know, and I'm putting up with this marriage, or I'm putting up with this job, or I'm putting up with this physical condition. That sucks. That's why Shakespeare in his brilliance says most people live lives of quiet desperation, because you're in a situation and you feel stuck. You don't know what to do about it. And you figure out, is this the way it's going to be for the rest of my life? Well, shoot, man. I had a guy tell me, 7 coffee yesterday. The guy's telling me, he's telling me this joke. He says, did you hear about this guy? He'd been married to his wife for 50 years. And could be wife could be a husband. It's interchangeable depending on who you are. And he says, let me give you a proposition. A proposition is, you can stay, you know, living with your wife or living with your relationship, or you're in the same situation you're in for the rest of your life. Or B, and the guy says, B, I'll take B. He goes, but you haven't heard. He goes, I heard A, and whatever B is, I'll take it. Right? The way he said it was, you know, it was just hilarious. And then I heard this other joke where they find this old guy, this older guy is having a midlife crisis, and he buys his Corvette, and he's speeding down the highway, and he gets pulled over by a cop, and the cop comes over and he says, "Hey, old timer, you're speeding down the freeway." He says, "Unless you have a real good reason for speeding down the highway, I'm going to give you a big fat ticket. So let's hear it." So the old guy says, 10 years ago, my wife of 50 years left me for a state trooper, for a motorcycle cop like you. And I thought that you were the guy that she left me for, and you were speeding after me, trying to give her back to me. And the cop goes, "Have a nice day." And it could be the opposite. It could be the wife. It's just the illustration of the relationships. You got some people who've been married. I've got friends of mine who've been married a long time, and they're happy as can be. And that's wonderful. And that's definitely possible. And you have people that you've known who've been married who aren't happy. And when you're not happy, it's suffering and it's pain. So anyway, that illustrates what we're talking about with the energies, about being able to be energetically aware. And it's so important. I believe it's the most important thing we can learn in this life. I think every man, woman, and child who inhabits planet Earth should be taught energetic awareness, because it would save a world of pain for people. In my work, the goal is to do things: eliminate suffering, which most suffering is mental, and not all, but most, and the ability to be energetically free. And that means the ability to work on your energy, clean the negative energy, the low vibration energy out, so that you can reach a place where you're energetically free, where no matter what happens to you in the third dimensional reality, people stay, people leave, money comes in, money comes out, weather's good, weather's bad, whatever it is, that you find a place, that high vibration energy place inside you that can protect you and keep you happy, joyous, and free your whole life. And that's available to everybody who studies energy awareness training. Okay, one last sweep. Debbie has joined us. Great, right at the end. Hey, good to see you. Sherwin, hey, Debbie. Two Debbies here. Mark's with us. Great. Okay, so I hope this has given you some insights here, because this is one of the things I love to do. Energy awareness is the most practical thing you can learn in life, because everything you're doing is energy. But I love taking today's headlines and speaking about them in terms of energy, so you can think about them in terms of energy and learn a lesson. Learn the lessons from what the energies want to teach you, because they will teach you and they will protect you if you're energetically aware. If you're not, then you're not. That's what it really boils down to. So I love teaching this. In the midst of writing a book coming out on energy awareness training, hopefully out end of the year, first of next year, on all of this. And my purpose is to create a movement to teach energy awareness training, because it'll be a better world if people recognize how energies work and how the energies work inside them, and it would increase the quality and the value and the love in your life. And that's what it's all about. The highest vibration energy there is love. Love, kindness, compassion, sharing, being of service to others. And that's the energy that I want to promote, and that's the energy that I try to be in and share with all of my students and the people that I share energy awareness training with. So if there are any more questions out here, thanks. People wishing me a happy Sunday. Love you. All right, you guys. So if you hadn't had a chance, I'd appreciate you just saying hi on the chat, just saying hi, Glenn, or great class, or you suck, or whatever you want to put on the chat, I'd appreciate it, because it helps me get the word out to people. So thanks for spending this time with me, and I'll be back with you next week with another great class. You can find me on YouTube. I have over 100 videos on energy awareness training. I'm on Instagram. I'm here on Facebook, and my website's energyawarennesstraining.com. For those of you who are new to the work, I'm going to put a link here, and it's a link to a video that I have that goes into depth in some really cool basic exercises that you can learn on how to start moving your energy, on how to start protecting your energy. It's really cool. It's a workshop that I led for a symposium on energy back a couple of months ago, and I posted it, and I'm going to post that link online, and you'll be able to get on my mailing list too. I'm going to be presenting a lot more information for all those people who are on my list and just want to create more high vibration energy for everybody. Okay, so if you didn't remember to turn your clocks back, remember to do so. And I hope you guys have a great Sunday. God bless. And remember, nothing changes until energy moves. So let's go move some high vibration energy today. See you soon. Bye for now.